What's up, guys? Got another hurricane coming, so I figured I was a bit bored. So I figured I would just do a quick video. So, you know, after the boat getting all messed up and breaking down on Toho, you know, I thought about something. There's something I do all the time, and a lot of people just say I'm OCD with wiring. I don't think it's OCD with wiring. So, you know, when you get stuff, when you put stuff on your boat, okay, let's say you put like a, I don't know, you put a jack plate on your boat, or you install wiring, you kind of like to know where the stuff's at, like where the wires are at, where the fuses are at. Because, okay, I'll give you an example. So you buy a boat, okay, let's say, and the boat has a live scope on it. It's already wired, and the fuse busts, or it stops working. The thing is that you really don't know where anything's at to fix it. So, you know, it's always good to know where all your wiring and stuff's at. All right, you want to know where all your wiring's at. So what I do is, like, I literally go through stuff, and I call it cleaning up the wiring. Now, cleaning up the wiring, I'm not gonna lie, it helps you know where everything's at, okay? So this boat came with active target in the Lowrance, okay? That's what it came with. And I put the Garmin, all right? I literally opened this thing up right here. I opened this up, all right? Just to see how all the wiring was, where the fuses were, where the wires ran through, where they went into. And then, you know, I added my own fuse panel. I did all that stuff because if something happens to this and the dealer did all this stuff, you want to know where all your wires are ran. You want to, because sometimes there's tiny fuses under here, you know, because these things have inline fuses. You know, there's just tiny fuses and stuff. You need to know where it's at when something happens on the water, okay? Now, let me tell you, I love doing my own wiring. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I like wiring my own stuff up. I just had them do a Bob's Machine Shop jack plate, and I'm gonna be straight up, man. I went under and cleaned up their wiring, because most of these people that do the wiring, they freaking roll up in the corner and tuck it in the corner, okay? Because I wanted to, let me get in the boat real quick. I wanted to know where the heck all the fuses and stuff were, and all the relays. Because if something breaks, you want to know how to get to it. Okay, it's not working. Like, I redid all the wiring in here. You know, I literally redid everything. All right, I redid the wiring for this. I put in a separate fuse panel. You know, you see you have the live scope and the active target here. But I know where my wires are. I know where my fuses are. So if anything happens with the live scope or any of the GPS stuff, I know how to fix it. I know how to, well, not fix it, I know how to troubleshoot it, right? Also, as you see in my videos, I had the hydraulic jack plate put on, okay? All right, I had them put this gauge here, all right, for my jack plate. You know what? You best believe it. I went behind here, and I looked at all the wiring, and I seen there's a fuse back there. So I know if that gauge stops working, they put their fuse right here, okay? Instead of having it up there. Another thing, when I have the jack plate put in, if the jack plate stops working, I want to know where the relays are. I want to know where the fuses are. Well, they're right here, okay? So let me tell you something about this. These wires that are nicely rolled here, okay? They left this, they just threw it in the corner over there, okay? Threw it in the corner. So I fixed all the wiring, rolled it up nice, and by me doing that, I was able to trace the wiring back and know the relays are right here. If something goes wrong and this don't work, I can pop these wires out and manually run the jack plate. I know where it's at. I don't have to mess with it on the water, okay? I know where everything's at. I know where the fuses are. I see the fuses here. I know where everything's at, all right? And I like doing that because if something happens on the water, give me a second. If something happens on the water, you know how to get to it. All right, in here, all right, I redid a lot of stuff in here, okay? I rewired, I traced all the wires, I followed everything. I know where all my fuses are, all my cutoffs. I put all my fuses up here so I can get to them. You know, you have to do that, man, because if you get a boat brand new, all right, and something happens, say you're arriving and say the jack plate stops working. Well, since you trace those wires back, and I do this, I call cleaning up the wiring. Most guys that install wiring, I'd say the boat dealers, they just literally zip tie, roll it, throw it in a corner, tuck it out of the way. If you trace those wires back and find them, you'll find the mess, you'll fix it, but as you're fixing it, you will be able to get to the relay, see how it plugs in. You'll know the areas to troubleshoot if something happens on the water, okay? I put the vessel view in here so I know if the vessel view stops working, I know where the plug is, I know how it's done. Now, if I didn't put the vessel view in, I would go and trace it and look at it, right? My nose is running allergies today. So you always have to seriously know where your wires are, know where your plugs are, know where everything's at. So if you get stuck on the water, you know how to troubleshoot it and fix it. The last thing you want to do is have one tiny fuse blow, shut off. For those of you who depend on live scope, I don't. Some of you do, can't fish without it. It is what it is. Your live scope goes out and the one fuse, you're in your bilge area or your storage area trying to fix that fuse and don't realize there's a second fuse in the front. That's the stuff you have to know, okay? Like, I know if my gauge that's working on my jack plate, all right, I know that there's a fuse now. You know, there's a fuse back in here on top of the fuse that's back in there. So I know where it's at when I'm on the water. I don't have to try to figure it out. I know where to go. So what I'll tell you to do, every time you have anything done, always go and clean up the wiring. By cleaning up the wiring, you'll be able to trace the wiring, see where it's at, and be familiar with all the electronics, all the wiring, fuses, and relays on your boat. That's what I do. They call me OCD with wiring and Mr. Zip Tie, but you know what? All my stuff is neat. I know where every wire runs. I know where everything is at. I know where all the relays and fuses are, except for the relay on the trim. I know where it's at now. It's hard to get to. But trust me, if you want some advice from me, that's my advice. Get to know your boat. Out.